You're live. It is May 20th. We're currently in Senate Judiciary. This is a conference committee for H.642. And I'll hand it over to you. The House called for the conference committee, and then you'll have a conversation about
Yes. So we were able to review the Senate version that came over to us yesterday in committee, and thought things looked good. So for one piece is that we had concerns around the victim involvement or the victim statement being considered in both the consideration of youthful offender status and the disposition. That was our hope, is that the victim statement could be considered in both, and felt that the language that you shared did not allow that, but maybe there was a misunderstanding. We're just trying to get to the bottom of that, because that was our goal, that we want to have the victim statement considered in both.
Yeah. I think so. Our the main thing that we removed, as I can remember, was on lines 13 and 14 from the version that's passed by the House regarding the language, page 4, regarding the appropriateness of youthful offender status. Our thinking was that it is ultimately the judge who decides if the status is appropriate, and they make that determination after hearing from not just the victim, but also, witnesses, law enforcement, and so on. And so the concept, so really we thought it was that, like, I believe we're on the same page that it makes sense to have the victim be able to testify and provide an impact statement in both the consideration hearing as well as the disposition hearing. And so that's, I think we're on the same page.
Okay. And I think our piece was that it is considered in both cases by the court, but I think there's agreement that we don't have to get so specific around that they have to be considered around the appropriateness of youthful offender, which the court considers it in each situation. Are there focus from us? Anything else?
And so we just so happen to have a draft that contains these proposed fixes, and if that council wants to provide us a walkthrough.
Happy to. For the record, Hillary Trevor Eaton is not legislative counsel. You should have an H.642 Committee of Conference draft language version 2 document. And instead of yellow highlighted, blue highlight. Yes, in future I'll consider a different color, and if you want them to do with the yellow. So excellent. So this is the section 2 of the bill where these changes are at issue. The first is in subdivision 2. So subsection A is talking about the rights a victim has. So subdivision 2 speaks to when a victim can be present and what they can say. So the only change made here to the version coming back from the Senate was to correct a typo. Sorry for no line numbers on this draft, but you'll see highlighted and that was stricken in the version coming back, but it should be to express reasonably the victim's views concerning the offense and the youth. So just tweak that. And this language, starting on the second line of subdivision 2, allows a victim, or says that the victim has the right to attend the hearing on the motion to consider youthful offender status and the disposition hearing to present the victim impact statement and to express reasonably the victim's views concerning the offense and including testimony in support of the victim's claim for restitution. Any questions about that? All right. Subsection B, moving forward, in contrast to subsection A, which is talking about the right the victim has, subsection B is talking about what the court shall do. So, in accordance with court rules, at a hearing on a motion to consider youthful offender status or at a hearing on youthful offender disposition, so at both, the court shall ask if the victim is present, and if so, whether the victim would like to be heard regarding the motion or disposition. In ordering youthful offender status or disposition, the court shall consider any views offered at the hearing by the victim. If the victim is not present, the court shall ask if the victim is expressed, either orally or in writing, views regarding youthful offender status or disposition. and shall take those views into consideration in ordering youthful offender status or disposition. So that generally returns to language from the House side that refer to both youthful offender status and the disposition, both areas.
There was a question about the difference of the language of youthful offender treatment versus status. Couldn't quite recall where the word treatment came from. But that was, I think that's in the current one, isn't it?
It is, but just in this section, so we look back to the other parts of this chapter that talk about youthful offender status proceedings, they use disposition, they use status and disposition. So I think this section would use treatment, they refer to disposition, but we're recommending sticking with status or disposition for consistency and that mentions themselves.
Yes. So where are we at? This is back towards the beginning, that's section 2, where it's just the and that is corrected. I guess the last line, and maybe you said this and I missed it. The court shall consider the victim's statement when ordering disposition. There doesn't need to be or
You say considering youthful offender status.
yes. That's both there.
Yeah.
So that line, you're quite correct. So that line would be said, the court shall consider the victim's statement when considering youthful offender status or and ordering disposition or.
You gotta go with and potentially to be reviewed in the editorial process.
Yeah.
But we know the intent is both, right?
It's amazing how hard it can be to choose between one and
Well,
but the idea will
Never
be.
debated the under or for in this building.
I think it probably should be or because it would be, you said and, then I think you could say that a victim can justify at the youthful offender status that is the only thing you can use to the disposition. Which I don't think is the.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it should be or for that reason. Yeah.
So we will make that change and putting this to a.
Although, if it's or,
I know.
what if the victim then comes forward and said, or someone says, it says or, and the victim's point of view was taken into view at the first hearing, which is the consideration hearing. Could then one argue that, oh, you've already, you by having your views taken into account there, then you've satisfied the statute because it is at one or the other, at or.
But if it's and they only presented one, is there not, does and not create a requirement that they presented both?
One option is the court shall consider the victim's statement when considering youthful offender status, comma, ordering disposition, comma, or both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but then that does open up the door for the victim testifies at youthful offender status. The court then can use that with impact testimony in the disposition.
Can we just put a line in that says that they can't do that?
How about the court shall consider any victim statement presented at the AOR? Well, that means if it's presented, then they consider it.
But only if it's presented at that hearing.
Right.
You have to confirm the person is there,
Yeah.
and all that piece of stuff. I feel like that makes sense.
And then, yeah.
Okay, one other option. Potentially more fair, although I know we're past.
So we're good.
Subdivision 2 is, subdivision 2 and subsection A are talking about victims' rights. That last line is talking about what the court has to do, and we're actually, this section actually talks about what the court has to do in subsection B.
Yeah.
And in subsection B, it's clear.
It's already there.
I think we got it clear and it's already there.
Yeah.
So instead of that, I think it's right to point out that this last sentence in subdivision A2 is an outlier, that it's sticking out, that it doesn't reflect the other changes made. But either we build out that sentence to be several sentences to cover everything you just talked about, or if we think that subsection B appropriately covers, they can consider it at either, if it's presented there, then we could just leave it in subsection B. Either of the four.
Could you, alternatively, could you just, instead of using the word disposition, say the court shall consider the victim statement with, ordering or running its determination? So that we're not using the word disposition, we're thinking it sort of like making its determination and contributing to either the status or that's disposition, and then clarify.
All right, another suggestion. The court shall consider the victim's statement as required by subsection B.
Whatever.
Yeah, love it.
As required by subsection B.
Something like that, just so that, because. So we're not being redundant, we're just referring to the others, to the rights divided elsewhere.
Does that satisfy your concern?
Yeah, and yeah, concerns a little strong, but just trying to make sure it's clear.
No, I think we should be precise.
And subsection B is clear that the court's considering the use offered at the, so.
Oh, yeah. One second.
If you are all supportive of this, how does it work from here? You're gonna, with a final draft?
Exactly. So we'll make that one change we just talked about, that at the end of subdivision in A2. Instead of reading the court shall consider the victim's statement when ordering disposition, that last sentence will read, the court shall consider the victim's statement as required by subsection B of this section. We'll put it in opposite color. So we can drop that this afternoon, okay, and send it, to all the committee folks, like, for a very pro value.
Yep.
Any questions? I'm not the best person to speak about, it's how else it goes,
Yes,
because you have the lucky, happenstance.
and this will also can work with our committees to make sure we get all the signatures. So.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
And I think what goes is the Senate will take it first.
Well, if you guys call the conference committee, I think it comes in the body for the next meeting. That way we don't have to sit back.
We will clarify, check on it.
So we would present it. I think we'll go first, then we'll end in the house. And then we'll send that. I think
We will double check. Either way, we'll know.
we'll be able to. Exactly.
Okay.
Great work. All right, so I